Wait, what? So this happened. I'm Rachel Velis, and this is the podcast Hell is Not the End, although it feels like just the beginning sometimes. Is anything really the end, though? This podcast is meant to explore the limitless possibilities of one's own soul. Why do people do bad things? Why are there countless happenings beyond understanding? Why, when we are cautioned not to do something, do we just do it anyway? The definition of curiosity, a strong desire to know or learn something. There you have it. I will curiously explore why. Hell is not the end. This is kind of a special episode today. This was supposed to be one of my regular interview episodes, but due to a winter storm, I decided to switch gears in format. Recently, it's been brought to the world's attention of a kidnapping and grisly murder of a woman in South London. Her alleged attacker was a person of authority, a police officer. This story is super recent, so there are more questions than answers. Makes me wonder if she ever felt like danger was looming walking the streets at night. Right before she was kidnapped, did she have any sense of what was about to happen? If you give a hint of weakness and vulnerability, are you viewed as easy prey? I decided to ask people close to me if they ever felt like they were in danger in their everyday lives. Women that I am close to, who may or may not have a fear of walking around the streets at night, who may or may not fear their own children's safety, or if maybe had some survival stories of their own to tell. My first Q&A was with my sister Monique. We grew up in Los Angeles, California in the 80s and the 90s, the primetime fear of Richard Ramirez, better known as the Night Stalker. In the fear episode, she explains to us how the Night Stalker was the beginning of her fear. This is when she really started noticing her surroundings. I brought up the recent kidnapping and murder of the South London woman, and if she had heard of this. She hadn't heard this news yet. Question, let me ask you this. How do you feel about your safety as a woman in today's society? Answer, I don't feel safe. I feel like as women we have more to fear for sure. And me having 2 daughters, my fear for them is worse. They are growing up in a safe environment where nothing really happens here. Unlike growing up in LA where we saw some fucked up shit growing up. Question. We were definitely raised in a different environment. Do you think they are prepared for the dangers of today's society? Answer. They aren't as cautious about things as I was, so I worry. When Monique was very young, she was in the mall with our grandmother. She lost sight of Monique for a second. She was on the escalator with a stranger who grabbed her hand when grandmother's head was turned. My grandmother screamed her name, and Monique, realizing that she didn't know this woman holding her hand, and she started screaming. This stranger was scared away, thank God. This is why we drill that stranger danger stuff into our kids' heads. Fun fact, every time we were in California, Monique will always tell the kids to stay close, because we're in LA and someone might take you. I also asked my cousin Jack. Her and her son live about 3 hours from Monique and I wanted to see how she felt about her own safety as they experience more of a city life than us. Jack is also from California, Orange County area. Question. I asked her the same question. How do you feel about your safety as a woman in today's society? Answer. I feel safe. I walk around town late at night with dogs and my pepper spray and sometimes other things for protection. Question. How do you feel when you heard about the woman who was kidnapped and murdered in South London? Answer. I always think about that kind of stuff. People just seem to disappear sometimes. I also wanted to ask one of my buddies, Molly, how she felt about her safety in today's society. She was born in a big city and then later moved to a rural town. She too is raising 2 kids in a safer environment that she herself was raised in. I brought up the woman in South London. She had not heard anything about this. Question. How do you feel about women's safety in today's society? Do you feel safe? Answer. Not always. I know bad things happen. When me and my cousin were young, I think I may have been 8 years old. My cousin was younger, and a grown man exposed himself while talking to us. Question. Excuse me? Answer. We were in a park. Both our brothers were close but didn't see. We giggled and thought nothing of it. He just started talking to us like everything was normal. We talked about this as adults and realized how fucked up that situation actually was. She told me that she worries about both her kids' safety in today's society. Once she noticed a suspicious car at her local park and a man taking pictures of the kids playing. She called the police and she never saw that car and the man again. But how creepy is that? I asked one more of my buddies, Catherine, if she felt safe as a woman in today's society. She too grew up in a city environment and later moved to a seemingly safer town. She also has kids. She felt super safe as a kid, right up until she knew it wasn't safe at all, until her older brother was jumped for his bike. She also had not heard of the South London woman. Question: do you feel safe for the most part in today's society because you are in a safe town? Answer: I did feel safe until those same city fucks that I moved away from are starting to move here and making me not feel safe. I actually lock my door and lock my truck whenever I go somewhere. The world has gotten ugly and people can be horrible to one another. It seems people are a lot crueler now than when I was a kid. Question: do you fear for your kids in today's society? Answer: no environment is safe. Anything can happen at any time. It's not like I fear for them. They have good heads on their shoulders. If they went and moved to the city, I would. I think they are naive when it comes to big cities. But if I said I didn't worry a little, then I'd be the naive one. Kids equal constant worry no matter where they are. These are 4 different women who were raised 4 different ways and have 4 different perspectives. It just goes to show that everyone is different. We all seem to be vulnerable in very different ways. A predator can take any shape or form. It can be someone you trust, a public figure, or a person of authority. Male or female, doesn't matter. It's not just one type of person lacking in ethics, morals, or a sense of wrongdoing. My hope is that no one has to live in fear ever. As always, I will never give up and read the signs. Thanks so much to the women who contributed to my podcast. Thanks so much for listening. I am Rachel Velis, and this is the podcast, Hell is Not the End.